Yes, people, how are we all? So I've realised I've started doing videos on what players we need to bring in, different types of lists, different types of profiles, loans, free agents, and obviously there's loads more coming in terms of actual buying players, but that's going to come when the window actually opens. But I've not actually spoke about really. I've not done a video showing the squad and what I think it will look like and what attributes we actually need from the players we're going to lose. So while I wait for Daniel Farker to send me the lists of players, he's on holiday at the moment, so he's not done it yet. I'm just waiting. If you know, you know. But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna do this one now. We'll get on with it. Let's go. And as far as I'm aware, people, this is everyone here that will either be at the club after their loan. I know their contracts will be running out, hence the red. But players who will be here from a loan, players who are still at the club, still contracted, players coming back from loans, all that stuff, and youth players that have made the bench. So Charlie Crew, for example, has made the bench this season. So they will be there. So, obviously, when looking at players we need to bring in, you have to identify many, many things, of course, but one of them is one, how many players do you currently have in that position? How high do you see that player in terms of squad player, star player? What type of role do you see them having in the season? How young are they? Do you want to bring someone in who's maybe similar age, slightly older, with a similar ability? That might stump the guy's potential, might stump his growth, his development. So there's a lot of things you've got to go into it. But one thing we can do right now when looking at this squad is take away the red, the loans, the retired players, the ones out of contract. But we'll get rid of the ones, and this is it because we don't know, because there's no retained list yet, because Leeds like to take ages. So we'll assume, right? I'm just going to have to guess. So them two are gone. Rodon, as of now, is finished. He's gone. Roberts has gone back. And you've got Bate, Cooper, Shaq, Byram, all out of contract. And I'm just looking, we'll move the keepers out of the way for aesthetic reasons. I'm looking at the players here. Who are we keeping? Right. So from that, and again, this is before, we'll do a situation where we lose Cooper. Okay? We get rid of Cooper. That leaves you with 3 centre-backs. Look at right back, where straight away you're looking at right back, we've got loads. Actually, Sam Byram is out of contract. I think they'll keep him, so I'll change him to a green. But Drame is out of contract. And right now, I'm not convinced. He did play about 15 starts for Birmingham this season, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure he wants to come back to the club. And then you've got Lewis Bate. I think he'll find a club where he actually plays. To be honest, I don't think there's any way in Leeds United for him. Good player. Still, I think a lot of development still to go, but one that will develop. Good player. And then you've got Shaq. I'm going to put him, just for now, until I do the discussion, in yellow, because I'm not sure yet. And I'll tell you why in a bit. Right. So then you've got this. And again, you're looking at these areas here. You're looking in the 10 row. You've got 3 there, which you could argue might not be here next season. You've got Greenwood, you could probably put a yellow. You've got Aronson, you could put a yellow. And you've got Gelhardt, you could probably put a yellow. Right? Looking at the wingers, you look at Somerville, 90% going. Nonto, probably the same. Dan James will stay. And then you've got the front 3. Bamford, probably... No, I'm going to leave him green. I think you put Bamford a thingy green. He's going to stay. I think you'll see out his contract, but just please some people. And again, Matteo Joseph, as of now, obviously come pre-season and he understands how much he's going to play, and if he has that discussion with Farker, that could change. I believe them two these 3 will definitely stay this season. Rutter will definitely stay, I think. Kamara will stay. We need that midfield depth. Archie Gray, I believe now, from what we've been told, will stay. Darko JB, I believe, will go on loan, so I'll put him as an orange. Then you got Ampadu, Gruev, and Crew. And this is the frustrating thing with the Gruev situation, with all these links. I'm going to have to put him yellow. Creswell. Yellow. No game time. Wober. Yellow. Rasmus Christensen. Yellow. Sam Byram. Contract is up, so yellow. And this is where Shaq comes in because, right, I'm going to put him up here for now. So looking at this squad now, looking at the profiles we have here, the one position that we basically have decent depth in, for me, is CDM. And when I say depth, I mean quality and depth, where all these players can play a role. Ampadu, Gurev, and Crew. Charlie Crew, very young. But third choice, number 6. Ampadu Gurev is an excellent 2 to have in the Championship as a 6 role. Excellent. Ampadu will start there. Ampadu will play there next season. I strongly believe that. Gurev is a good player to have in that position. Of course, with the links with Gurev, it's going to be difficult to try and figure out how that works to keep him happy, thinking, well, I could go to Dortmund right now, as a squad player, as opposed to Leeds United in Championship as a squad player. So that's why, for me, keeping Gurev is key, because unless you bring in someone who knows they're not going to play, it's the same situation as Gurev might want to leave. They know Ampadu is going to be the main man unless he's injured, which is rare, and touch wood, that doesn't happen. They are not going to play a lot of football because we really only play with 1 6. So unless it's a 6 that as a profile can play in the 6, in the 8, and in the 10, we don't sign them, for me. And the players, who can play those type of roles is the ones I've mentioned before. Elzate, for example, is a player who can play 6, the 8, and the 10. Predominantly the 8, but can drop into the 6 and the 10, but that's not his role. He can play in the final third. So that's why, for me, if this was to happen, you then have 2, you're looking kind of short there, because Ampadu's out, you're relying on Charlie Crew, who's a young lad, you're in trouble. That's why keeping Gurev is key. Because then you've got good depth. But if there's problems there and he talks about moving somewhere else, that's the issue. So the profile for me has to be a player in this midfield. Say Darko JB goes out. We'll say, for argument's sake, that Gelhardt goes on loan. Maybe even Greenwood goes on loan. This is the worst case scenario. I genuinely don't think we'll send all these guys out. I really don't. Then, in that 10 role, you've got Jorginho Rutter and Brendan Harrison. But if Brendan Harrison doesn't stay, so that could drag on. And that's all possibilities, by the way. I know you can't see them, but that's all possibilities. We could be this situation. Pirro could do that, but it's not. We know that's not Pirro. Right? With Somerville potentially going and Nonza potentially going. So then, suddenly, the midfield looks really like good 8s. Kamara and Gray, good 8s. That's good. But actually, when you look at that, that's not good. And in the worst case scenario that Gurev, you're in big trouble. So bringing in a player, for me, an 8 who can play both the 6 and the 8 and progress into the final third is key. It really is. It is so key. We need a player that is good box to box. We need a player that is good in build up, defensive positions. We need basically a box to box midfielder. It's quite simple, because you cannot rely that all your players are going to stay fit in the season, and you want competition. That is so key, and we do not have competition. There's not a lot here. In 8 position, if you're playing a midfield 3 with a 10, an 8, and a 6, or 2 8s, if we drop them deeper, right, we play a 4-3-3. It's not a lot of people. 3 midfield positions with 6 midfielders, 1 who's a youth player. That leads 4 with Gurev was to leave it, and Rutter isn't an 8, so then you lived with 3 to fill 3 positions. It's tough. It's tough. We need a midfielder. That's key. It really is. And then just on that, looking at the squad here, I believe Gurev will stay for that reason. I don't think we can be silly to leave him. So that is good. That's better. But still, for me, we need an 8. We need a progressive 8. Because I don't think we have the attributes from a player that can provide progressive moves from midfield as much. Archie could do that, but Archie is still young, and we kind of disconsider. We're not considering enough how young he is. And he's done really well at right back, and he's seen out everyone else in that position this season. A lot of players he's seen out in the right back position, but the role there is more simpler than that 8 role. That 8 role is key because there's many sides to it. the right back role for him was fairly straightforward in terms of you can watch the game. It's fairly straightforward, the role he had. So that's a big problem. The midfield is huge. We need those attributes in there. We need a progressive player in there that can also defend, and can also build play up from deep, central, wide, wherever. Otherwise, we're in trouble. So yeah. So that's what I've said about midfield. We'll go to the strikers after. I want to talk about 10. And straight away, looking at the defence. Again, worst case, say Woba left. You got Pascal Strauch, Charlie Creswell, who could also leave. He's not playing a lot. Denafak doesn't rate him higher than most players for whatever reason. So, will he start? No. So then what do you need? You need to start in centre-back, without a doubt. Look, if Woba did stay, which I doubt, to be honest, I think he'll leave, then you've got that. And then you need, even in that case, you need more backup than just Creswell. That makes me think about the Cooper situation. So do we bring in a backup centre-back? Probably. But for the main part, we don't really have another centre-back. That is basically our defence right now in terms of contractor players that played here last season. You know, there's a few youth players that could do that role. I think we bring in a centre-back. I think that is key. I think it's one of the main things we need to do. That could be, of course, let's not forget, Joe Rodon. Perfect. Continuity is key. Get that centre-back partnership back. Get them developing together and get them playing together, because what a partnership. But again, one injury, Pascal Strauch does get injured, you're in trouble. But for me, whoever that is, whoever we bring in, whoever we keep, for me, we need two centre-backs in. Assuming Woba leaves and Creswell isn't rated, so he won't play, we need players that the manager trusts behind those two, because there could be injuries in this case. So that's key. One or two centre-backs. Maybe we bring one up from the youth. Maybe we sign someone. I don't know. But a centre-back is key, just like a midfielder. Probably more key because the lack of actual players we have there, at least in this position, if we keep Gurev, we have Kamara, Gray, Ampadu, Gurev. That's a decent four. But it's just the attributes of the progressive player that we don't have in that position. Whereas in centre-back, it's a lack of potential players right now that the manager trusts to play. That could change. Like, you never know. Creswell might come back and Donafaka might really rate him this season. We don't know these things. Although we probably do. But we don't, right? We don't 100% know. We're not time travelers. Unless you're time traveler, we physically don't. Physically don't know? I don't know what the word term is, but we don't know. But this is the situation. And again, and then you've got to address left back. Does Junior Firpo stay this summer? I hope so. But again, there's no one that can play there. Really. There just isn't. So is this something you have to address as well? We know Junior Firpo's injury record isn't ideal. And this is where Sam Byron comes into it. We look at the right back position now. This is where Sam Byron comes into it. And I'll just bring Shaq back for a sec. This is where Sam Byron comes into it. Because Byron, you give him another year. You have to. You have to. Look how short we are. Or potentially could be in the worst case scenario. Look how short we could be back here. It's crazy. Potentially. I say that. That's why I think we keep more and we bring one or two in. Because we can't afford to lose anymore. We just simply cannot. I think we try and keep Woba if we can. Is that possible? I have no idea. Probably not, let's be honest. And I want deluded. Probably not. If we do, great option. Still need two more you can trust. Right back is a problem. Because there's no real standing right back, is there? Archie Gray played there last season. Will he play there next season? Potentially. I don't think so. I think he'll want to play centre mid. I think there's talk about centre mid in his interviews. Said he wants to play centre mid. I think he'll play centre mid. I think he'll be in the midfield. What role he'll have in there, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he'll be in that midfield. But as a backup, if we do have injuries in this area, Archie can come in. Right? But that's when then you need midfield depth. But we have Kamara in that position. But, so this is the issue. Again, similar to centre-back. Christensen's one of them lone players. Very likely he's not here. Let's be honest. Byram should sign a 1-year contract for me. I think so. If we don't, I think that's crazy personally. Of course, you can bring players in, but you've already got one there. Give him the contract. Good squad player who can play both sides of fullback where we are short. Shaq, and this is what I talk about Shaq. The problem with Shaq this season, he's not been available. I've always said if he's available, he's a good player to have in a squad. He might not be used for 90% of the season, but the 10% he's used, good, because that means you can put him there and you don't have to change 5-6 pieces around in a team. And that's what you need squad players for. No one seems to really, but whatever. You need squad players. And when I say squad players, I mean squad players that maybe will play 3 or 4 games a season, but you still need them. Otherwise, you're just changing everything around in the side and you have no continuity. So we'll see. Shaq's an interesting one because of that, but he's not been available this season. He's had injuries. I think that slices him off a bit. I'll be honest with you. I think it does. So worst case again, we don't keep Shaq. This is what I mean. We could not afford, and everyone keeps doing videos where we have to get rid of this. People, we cannot bring in 15 players this transfer window. We will bring in a few key players in key areas, but we need a few key areas from players this season to stay, because we can't simply bring in 15 players. It's not feasible. So if you can keep maybe a Woba, maybe a Christensen, just so they're there, and bring in a starting right back, you then have Byram who can play left back, right back, Rasmus who can come in at right back if needed. You bring in a star right back. You see what I mean? It's not. I'm not sitting here saying this. Look, it's not an ideal situation, is it? But this is football. No team has a perfect balance. No team has every player they need in every position. Every reserve player is unbelievable. That doesn't work like that. Every squad player is as good as the starting right back. That's so different. That's almost impossible. It's not a video game. So you need to fill in gaps with players that you have at the club, because they're a player who can play in that position, and that is key. It's continuity. And you don't want, then, we don't have a right back because Rams isn't here, then suddenly we have to bring in a youth player to go right back, or we have to put a centre back right back, or, Creswell has to go right back. There's so many problems. Archie Gray has to go right back. You're taking him out of position. Mara then can come in, but it's moving stuff around. So continuity is so key for me, and that's why I'm so worried about getting rid of all these squad players. Because you need squad players. So if we could keep Rasmus, I know I said different on Joe's the other day, but I've looked at it deeply now and I've thought about it. If you can keep him as a squad player, I don't think we will, like I said, and that's the worry. But you do. But Sam Byram is a 100% yes for me. You have to. You simply have to. You just simply have to. I think it's obvious. I think you'd all agree as well. The midfield, 10 and the wingers. So let's be real, this is going to happen. And look at the situation we're in. One winger at the club. Now, I did a video at the start of last season, almost a year ago, about this man. This man right here. Being a winger. Go look at it. It's a good video. I enjoyed doing it. I thought Daniel Farke was going to adapt into a winger. What he did was adapt into a 10. I still think Georgie could be a winger. I think he'd be unbelievable as a winger. I think there's less kind of defensive responsibilities centrally. So you could have a proper 10 in there who can understand that defensive role. I've done videos of names, and I will do videos of the 10 role, don't you worry. There's a lot of that coming up, but the 10 ones take time. Again, just waiting for, Daniel to send the lists. Just on holiday, so he's not sending it. But Daniel does, mate. But yeah, anyway. So that is a thing. And then obviously James, we know, can play on the left as well. Better on the right for me, but can play on the left. But you're still short. You're still short in that position regardless if you do this. And if you do this, who's playing there? Even if you put Pro in there, you're short. Put Gray in there, you're short. This is, again, the key role is an 8 who can play the 10. And also maybe even play the 6 if we lose Grev. But keep Grev, you have an 8 who can play the 10. Aggressive midfielder. Laszlo Benes. Nico, who I spoke about in the video. These types of players who can play this role. And maybe even a little deeper, progressing into this role. We need someone who can play here. Who is that player? Laszlo Benes is a perfect example. Experienced player. Unbelievable numbers in the Bundesliga too this season. 27. Good age. Is this role. Can play here. This is his role. This is his area. He creates. He scores goals and gets assists. Good in build-up. Aggressive in build-up. Drops deep to receive the ball. We need a player like that. Because we are so short. We are so short. You get a player like that in, and we'll say, this guy's in, for example. We bring this signing in. Then at least you have options in this area if you need them. But then if you do need them, that's when we need another winger as well. That's key, obviously. If you lose Somerville and Nonto, you 100% need to replace them. 100%. So you need a winger profile. All right, you need a winger profile. Maybe even two. Look, can we progress someone from the youth? Potentially. Can we bring in a young player? Can we utilise a loan market? Potentially. You're seeing the problems, people, right? You're seeing the issues. And I've not spoken about goalkeeper. We have 3 that are not in contract. Whether you think we need a better one, that is not the discussion. The discussion is what attributes do we need that we don't have, if that makes sense. But yeah, there's a lot of problems in this position. Whether he plays out there or in there, and we sign an 8 who can play that role, and then Rutter can go out there, good. But we still need a guy in this position here. And we also need a left or a right-sided winger. Assuming he sticks with this, we need a winger. And we need a good winger. Whether that's a loan player, whether we buy one, we need 1 or 2 wingers for me. Again. So right now, and then we'll end off on the front. And let's be real, Rutter can play there, but he might. I don't think he will. I see some good attributes here. Perrault has the finishing. Joseph has the, well, obviously, Joseph's energy, his relentlessness, his instinct, his development, his progression is good. All great things. Patrick Bamford, of course, with the experience, the movement. They all have similar attributes. Together, they would be an unbelievable player. Unbelievable. Bamford can never stay fit. Isn't clinical. Perrault, a good finisher, doesn't suit the style, and I don't think he's the perfect striker for Daniel Farke, and I think Daniel Farke would want a different type of player in there. I really do. As a striker, he wants someone who can provide depth. Mateo Joseph, and this is what I mean, and this I can already see some comments. People that chill out. There's no reason. It annoys me. There's no reason at times. Mateo Joseph is a player with huge potential. But potential is potential, right? So say for example, Mateo Joseph, Farke goes Mateo Joseph, you're the starting number 9. Mateo Joseph goes, cool. That is good. I'm down for that. But then you're basing that on what you believe he can be, because it's not been shown on a wide scale. Anyone can talk about one game, and this is what's important. Anyone can talk about 15-minute appearances, but starting as a 9 in a 46-game season, as we've already seen from our young players, who've had more experience than Mateo, is tough for 46 games. Competition is key, and I can't stress this enough. So if he's to be trusted as the 9, you need a player, for me, a younger player, who fits the system, who could potentially get goals at this level. Because continuity, competition is key. But then, if we bring in that striker, and then you've got 4 of them who can play in that role, there will be unhappy strikers in here. That will probably be Mateo, because he deserves to play as a young man who needs to develop. He needs to play football. I'm not denying that. You cannot solely rely on a player with as little experience. We've shown that last season. Let's not make the same mistakes, please. If he's starting the number 9, great. I'm happy for that. I want him to. I'm good with that. We still need a system-based striker who is available, unlike Patrick Bamford, who doesn't have an injury record, and who fits the system, unlike Joe Perrault, who can score goals. That's what we need to bring in. A player who's maybe done it at this level, or who's done it in Europe. That's the competition we need. So for me, and just looking how little we have here, and this is what I mean about these players here, these squad players here, that we're all quick to get rid of. I think Aronson could stay. because I think that helps a lot. It's a different option to what we have. He might not want to, the wages, whatever. We might bring someone in that position. Good. But we're still so short. Because who is the bench? Who is the bench? Let's be realistic. Gruev. Wobber won't be a bench player if he's starting. So we say he does in the crazy world. Gruev, Creswell, Rasmus. Are we losing all these three? Burrow, Bamford, Mara. That's the bench. These players. Is there really a game changer on there who can change the different attributes of the game that are required? Maybe Aronson, maybe Perot. We know what Kamara and Gruev do from their roles. They're not game changers. There isn't any. We need them. We need competition. There's not enough competition on that bench. And that's assuming we keep Christensen and Aronson. If we don't, we keep these guys, assuming we keep Creswell. Yeah, we're shot. We're shot. Again, I said it. I think there's a chance. And I'd be fine with it because it's continuity, it's options. We need them. We need both of them going into next season. So yeah, difficult situation. We need. I'll go through the basic profiles that we need. Centre back, key. I've already shown how short we are in that area. A full back to keep Sam Barham, of course. So centre back, so short in that position. That is my number one, to be honest. A left back who can compete with Junior Firpo. A right back. An 8/10. Or predominantly a 10, to be honest. A winger and a striker. Maybe even two wingers. That's 7 first team players. And then we could talk about goalkeepers and if you rate the goalkeeper or not. Do we bring another goalkeeper? I for the life of me don't think we do, unless Messi leaves. I don't think we do, so I'm not going to waste my breath on talking about it. That's 7 key positions we need to adjust. And that's not even really delving into the depth side of it. You could argue we need 1 or 2 more in for depth. That's 10 players. That could be reduced to 7 or 8 if we keep a few squad players. A lot of work to do. A lot of business. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm going to do videos on all these positions, every player we need in these positions, loan videos, permanent signing videos, all of them. So stay tuned, people. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all the support, obviously, as usual.